Hello everybody, this is Muchaneta here from Fashioner.com. I'm reporting from the Keyhouse where I'm interviewing Miss Natasha Franck, the CEO of Eon. She's come all the way from New York to kind of talk to us about her circular ID, and so we're going to hopefully give you a little bit more information and hear it from the horse's mouth. So Natasha, let us know a little bit about the circular ID. Could you explain what that means and what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, great. So we're working with brands to digitize the supply chain and then extend that digitization into circular economy. So basically today, if you think about the supply chain, there's been a lot of investment to digitize from the moment a product's produced to the moment that product is sold. And right now that product ID comes off at point of sale. So there's no real intelligence after sale to create a new gateway for commerce, to connect with the customer, to power resale, to inform recycling, to inform the reverse logistics of a rental model. So basically by creating this item level ID, or what we call circular ID, we can now start to power intelligence after sale and unlock new business models and also power circular economy for brands and retailers.
That sounds quite futuristic. So I'm wondering, how many fashion brands have you actually managed to convince or are adopting the circular ID?
Great question. So a lot of brands are actually already using some form of digitization in the supply chain today, whether it's an RFID tag or a barcode or QR code. And what we do is basically we enhance that identifier with a digital profile. And we are working with some of the largest global brands and retailers, from H&M to PVH, Target, as well as their partners in circular economy. So some of the largest recycling partners, some of the largest resellers, to basically unlock communication between stakeholders in the supply chain or the value chain. So now a company like H&M could communicate with their resale or recycling partner through that physical product. So that product is actually able to communicate and share data between those stakeholders.
In terms of, is it some relation to blockchain, or is blockchain anything to do with that? Because I know blockchain is something that most people don't understand. So could you kind of elaborate a little bit about that?
So basically when we create a digital identity, we're creating kind of like a Facebook page for that product, right? A unique web location complete with data. And when you create that ID and store that information associated with the product, you can store that ID or that information on the blockchain. That doesn't mean that it is essential to creating a digital identity. So first you need to figure out what information you want associated with the product, and then you can store that ID on the blockchain should it be of interest or value to the brand and the customer.
And what role does circular ID play within sustainability? Because that's a really big topic within the fashion industry at the moment. What does it contribute to that?
Yeah. So if you think about trying to share a product's information between stakeholders in the value chain, you need a standard, right? Because all of it needs to be able to communicate between all of these different parties. And so that's what circular ID is. It's a standard for communicating data about products. And that standard of data allows information to flow seamlessly between stakeholders, right? So we can actually exchange data in a way that enables efficient processing of these articles of clothing. And so that's what circular ID is. It puts forward this standard for what information is essential to include on a product in order for that product to be resold, in order for that product to be recycled and rented. And what it unlocks with that standard is the ability to start to measure in circular economy. I think a lot of brands are moving toward making commitments to be circular, to be able to have accountability in their circular economy commitments. And circular ID makes that measurement possible. We, for the first time, would be able to measure what percentage of product is getting recycled or recovered.
It seems like you're working a lot more with fashion businesses. What about consumers? Are you targeting consumers so they are able to access this information, or is it only just for fashion businesses?
So we basically provide the gateway for brands to connect to the customer through the physical product, right? So if we introduce a digital identity for a brand that has a QR code or an NFC as the identifier, the customer can engage with that. And we basically provide the kind of back of house infrastructure essential for the brand to digitally connect with their customer, but we don't actually make the narrative, because that message or that connection should be between the brand and the customer. We just power it. So we're kind of the back end that the customer never sees, but we provide the gateway for the brand to connect to the customer through the physical product.
And one final question. Where do you see the industry taking this? Do you see them adopting it in the next 2 years, 5 years, or would you say in about 10 years, most brands will probably be on board and finding use in this type of technology?
I'd say we're seeing massive investments in digitization in the supply chain today and massive investments in business model innovation that requires item level product identity. So according to groups like World Economic Forum, we are really on the threshold of a digital identity revolution, and we're moving toward a space where every product, every person has this digital profile, and basically it is the next internet, right? It is the internet permeating our everyday lives, and that will have disruptive implications for the fashion industry. So I think it's moving rather quickly now that it's gotten started.
And lastly, this is the first time you've come to the Keyhouse, and the Keyhouse is all about innovation. We want to showcase what's going on within the fashion industry. I mean, how have you found it?
Yeah. I'd say that this space is pretty remarkable, the amount of innovation and the cross-department collaboration that's happening here between science and technology. This is definitely a very special space.
Thank you so much, Natasha. I appreciate it.